Good afternoon, school. Good afternoon, King Edward the 7th community. It's been about 3 weeks since my last video, and during that time the grade 12s have been back at school, and we've learnt many lessons along the way as the boys have come back, and COVID-19 has taken a much firmer grip on the country at large. We've had our first positive case, both of a student as well as a staff member, and we've managed to navigate those waters, and although I know that both instances caused a great deal of concern, we also were very fortunate that we have had a very understanding community, and that we've had advice from the Department of Health as well as support from the Department of Education, and despite those two incidences we've managed to keep the school open, even though we followed all the necessary protocols. And I think having done that, a few more grey hairs have appeared on top of my head, a few more wrinkles upon my brow, and the ever-increasing size of the bags under my eyes. But despite that, I have been unbelievably impressed with the boys. The matric students have really embraced their new normal. The boys have tackled their academics with new vigour and enthusiasm, which I know for many parents might be very difficult to believe. We are now entering a very different phase of our schooling program, where in the next week, in the next 7 days, we will receive both the grade 10s and 11s back at school, and I'm sure that's going to come with a great deal of excitement. But I also acknowledge that for many in the community there is an element of fear, some anxiety, and that is well understood. But I think what I have learned over the past 3 weeks is that we need to be very respectful of one another, particularly in terms of our own views of COVID and how COVID may or may not affect each of our own families. But COVID is here, and it's here for a long time. So I think the sooner that we're able to get the courage and develop the understanding to work along and side by side with this virus, the better it is going to be for all of us. That said, I have reiterated to the boys, and I have done with our community, that the only way we are able to operate alongside COVID-19 is to adhere to the four principles, as I have called them. That is, we need to retain adequate social or physical distancing of 1.5 meters, and where possible even further. We need to ensure that whilst in public and in any public environment or any environment that can be used by more than one person, we wear a mask. That we sanitize and or wash our hands at regular intervals. And in a school context, that means every time we enter or exit a classroom. And then the fourth thing is what we refer to as the cough and or sneeze etiquette, where we cough or sneeze into our elbow. The school is cleaned every single day or disinfected. We have gallons of sanitizer, we have paper towels, we have well ventilated classrooms, we have classrooms that are all physically distanced, we have divided our corridors in half, we have signage all over the school reminding the boys and our staff of the protocols that need to be followed. We have gone as far of drawing circles on the sports fields that enable boys to sit in a defined circle, and we've even put markers on those circles so that boys know that if they sit on that marker, the radius of that circle and the distance of the markers will adequately physically distance the boys at break time. We've gone as far as doing orders for the tuck shop. Our tuck shop is properly socially distanced in terms of the queues, in terms of the hygiene. So from a school perspective, I think we're as safe as one can be given the circumstances. I certainly believe we're a lot safer than most shopping malls, and I know, and I've seen many of our students' parents walking around these shopping malls. We are certainly more healthy and socially distanced than some of these house parties I've been hearing about. And if I may take the opportunity to admonish any parent who's allowed a house party, then please accept it as the principal of the school. I need to do that. It certainly isn't something that we should be advocating or promoting. We're not even allowed to visit our own family. So we need to just be aware of those kinds of things and be aware that the school is as safe as one can expect any environment to be given the circumstances. I've always undertaken, and I will continue to undertake, to have the health and safety of all of our boys and our staff uppermost in my mind. And we won't recklessly plough forth just because we think that education is more important than any child or staff member's life. We will, upon the return of the grade 10s and 11s, go to a platooning system, which I have tried to explain as best I can in newsletters. But essentially, our new normal will be that other than matrics, only 50% of our classes will be back at school on any one day. That will allow us to maintain physical distancing in the classrooms and limit the number of people on the campus at any one time. In essence, this means that a boy will come to school on a particular day, on day one, if we call it that. He will have a full set of classes for that day. The next day, he will stay at home, or if he's a boarder, he will remain in the confines of the boarding, while the remaining 50% will come for the next day. The boys will then do some homework, they will get worksheets, and then on the Wednesday, as it were, the third day, they will come back to school. And so, therefore, you'll have one day on and one day off. One of the weeks you'll be at school 3 times in the week, and the second week you'll be there 2 times. The other group of boys will have the first week. They will be at school 2 times in their first week and 3 times in their second week. We have divided the boys up into a red and a green group, and they have been timetabled accordingly. We will stick to our original timetable, and the boys will get their full set of classes. They will be back in phys ed. They will be taught as they would have been by the teachers in the first term. And although there's a reduction in 50% of face time, I think the fact that boys have now got Google Classroom to augment their learning, as well as worksheets that they'll be given, we will be able to progress at a very good pace. The grade 12s, on the other hand, will be at school every day. So please be assured that from a grade 12 perspective, the boys are well on track. The last 3 weeks have seen them catch up an enormous amount of work, and the estimation is in another 5 or 6 teaching days, we will be at the point we would have been for the start of term 3 had we not had any COVID or any lockdown. So the grade 12s are progressing really well. As I say, we've had our first case of COVID. We are not sure whether the infection took place at school, but the grade 12 learner was completely asymptomatic, has remained as such, but he has been placed at home in a period of self-isolation as per the guidelines. We've had a staff member who was symptomatic. Fortunately, we were able, through our screening process, to catch that early, and no infection and no transference was made to any other staff member. So, King Edward, we enter a new phase. I'm terribly excited to get the grade 10s and 11s back on Monday. We are awaiting confirmation from the Department of Education with respect to the grade 8s and 9s, but at this stage they are gazetted to come back on the 3rd of August. We are hoping to get them back a little earlier than that. Once I get confirmation for from our application, I will be advising the community. It's exciting times. Sadly, there are still no opportunities for sport or any co-curricular activities, so the focus will continue to be on the academics, which is what a school is really all about. Despite many other people's beliefs. And we will continue to monitor the situation. We will continue to be flexible. I think we've all realized that in today's society that we need to be adaptable to change and accepting of change. I just wish all of the community the very best. I wish you continued health and continued safety. And I just close with the assurance for those of you who will be sending your boys back, who may be a little anxious, be assured that your son's health and your son's safety is uppermost in everyone's mind. His education is then secondary. We have support structures in place. The school counsellor has been doing and publishing quite a bit on resilience and anxiety and how to deal with that. And should anyone find themselves in a position where they need continued counselling or interventions, then please don't hesitate to contact us directly. Please do so. It's vitally important that we reassure anyone who needs reassurance. God bless each and every one of you. And I trust that everyone's family has been kept safe during this time. I wait with bated breath for the day that we can get back together as a full school community, and that life as we knew it is able to carry on. But in the meantime, let's adapt to our new normal, and let's embrace the changes that have needed to take place, and hope that someone somewhere in the world, potentially even a King Edward old boy, might be the first to discover the vaccine to eradicate COVID. God bless all of you. Take care. Stay safe.